Yeah. So I don't know if I told you the episodes that I had ready, but this episode in particular I found this one story about a person that stayed at an Airbnb and had like a haunting experience. And that sent me down a rabbit hole where I was like, it's time to do haunted Airbnbs and I'm ready for it. And now that's like a new fear unlocked because I never even thought about that when I'd stayed in an Airbnb in the past. But now it's like, oh, cool, great. Another thing to consider, cameras, maybe, ghosts, potentially. And that's the scary part.
I've never stayed in an Airbnb. I've stayed with VRBO, which is basically the same thing.
I feel like that's like the prestigious one. That feels like the classier version. So, every time I see those commercials, I'm like, it's time for me to stay at this show is brought to you by, no, just kidding. It's not. We're not going to mention it any longer. But every time I see that commercial, I'm like, I need to stay in one of those.
I've enjoyed the experience each time.
Yeah. Weird for me to say that last line leading into an episode about haunted Airbnbs. Sorry. Hey, check this out. Airbnb, I removed that last part where I said something mean. Do you want to sponsor the show since we're talking about your potentially haunted establishments? Isn't that fun? Anyway, also, I have been sitting on something absolutely marvelous for a couple weeks now, and this is the first episode I actually get to debut it, and we'll see if it sticks around or if it's just a one and done type of thing. But I got so tired when I'm exporting out videos and stuff for the YouTube, I have to remove the outro and do all this other stuff because for some reason I keep getting copyright strikes on it, even though I'm like, yo, this is first of all, I have the license for this. And so I was like, I'm tired of removing it and doing all this other crap in post, so I'm just going to change out the outro music. And so in today's episode, it is going to be a new outro. And I think every week I'm going to change the genre of the outro, but I'm going to keep it the same song. And so to our members of the Facebook group, if you have suggestions for genres, please make a post about them because I am currently creating a bunch of these. I spent about $40 on potentially the single greatest thing I've ever bought in my life, and that is a subscription to a songwriting service of sorts. So,
AI?
Yeah, in that vein. But I can take my past of being a lyricist of some sort, and I can use that once again in the podcast now. And so I get to write really weird songs. Surprisingly, they turn out pretty good.
Nice.
So I was like, I'm going to do that for the podcast, and I'll create something, and I'll take my musical knowledge and my weirdness knowledge, and I will combine them into the one thing that nobody would have ever asked for. And you're welcome for that. And I think we should probably start that. I'll play one of them as the intro to today's episode. Then I'll play another version of it as the outro so you guys can get a little taste. And if you don't like it, hey, guess what? There's timestamps. Just click to where the show starts. You like that? I bet you don't. Anyway, we will see you on the inside.
Bigfoot is stalking by your window. Dogman is scratching at your door. Ghosties are walking up and down your halls at night, and the Hat Man is coming back for more. Your name is Christian. You love a can of beans, and you're the wettest blanket skeptic this world has ever seen. You're almost always wrong. It's quite an impressive streaky. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the freaky deaky. Your name is Christian. Your name ironically, because the only belief you have can be found in a can of beans. You're almost never right, and now you get roasted weekly. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the freaky deaky. Also, ghosts exist, just an FYI.
I should mention this is 2.5 minutes long.
Aliens are feeling blue. The Ouija demon's lonely, 'cause they believe in you. They believe in you. They believe in you. In you. In you. In you. In you.
There we go. What a beautiful song, right?
You need to put that on Spotify.
You know what's funny is I had an account for, I think, DistroKid or something like that for my music. I wonder if I should use that other channel and just do like TFT the musical and just like any weird song that I put together via the power of AI and the like. If I just made like albums and just upload, I can't imagine. There's probably like 4 people listening to this that would be like, I would jam out to that all day.
I'd play it at work.
Yeah, but you gotta also remember that I can do so many genres. It takes a lot of tweaking to really fine-tune things to where you're like, this actually sounds legit. Success, right? But yeah, eventually, you know, you kind of find that sweet spot. And you're like, this is quite the anthem. The outro, you're gonna absolutely hate it. You're gonna hate it so much, but it's one of my favorite ones.
Is it like Creed?
No, but that's a great idea. Jot that down.
Please don't.
That's probably the best idea. No, this one's the best idea because it's jazz. So
that is,
but it's a catching song, you know? So now that we got that out of the way, it's been about 10 minutes since this started recording. I don't know when I cut it, but sorry, it feels like that's a long time. Let's get into these stories. If you are new to the show, you probably got scared off by that intro. So, hey, everyone that's been here for a while, welcome back. Separating the wheat from the chaff, if I may. That's what we need to do, you know? Let's find the weirdest of the weird and let's welcome them in to this episode about haunted Airbnbs.
Tim, that's you.
Tim, that's you.
Tim, that is you.
Tim, I guess that's you. You're listening and you're like, hey, that is me. Anyway, fuck all. You guys know where to find us on social media because we scared off all the newbies with the song. So it's time. Let's get into this. The first one is called Watched and Haunted, and it's by Dragonfly 715.
That's the first time I ever had a song written with me in mind.
Trust me, there's about 50 of them waiting for you. So and every time I'm someone that has random lyrics pop in my head all day, like I'll hear full blown songs and how they could be written and recorded and all that, but I'm not musically inclined enough to actually write the music to it. So it's really kind of ironic. So I'm constantly feeding lyrics through my head nonstop. And now that my brain is focused on this podcast and knowing that I can add music to it and probably annoy a lot of people in the process, particularly maybe you, I feel like, it's time. Maybe if a lot of people don't want this, we make musical episodes and put them as a membership.
Here we go.
It's getting started. Let's get really weird with it. But for the time being, just know that there is plenty of songs just waiting. You're going to have an entire album all yourself, Christian. And I don't know if you're going to enjoy it, but we'll find out.
It depends on if we make it into a musical.
You like musicals?
Sometimes.
Then you're in luck because that is an idea that I've been thinking about. I'm like, what can we do that is vastly different from other I'm like, oh, I know. We can make a musical, even if that just means writing songs to play throughout an episode without actually doing an entire hour. You know what?
Can we have a Bollywood segment where you and I have to dance?
Let's circle back to that. Let's for sure get into this story that I talked about 25 minutes ago, it feels like. And I'm going to apologize in advance. I have been sick. So the next couple weeks, you guys get to listen to this voice, all right? Sometimes it's nasally. This story after 15 minutes of tomfoolery, if I may. My daughter and I just came home from our trip to Virginia, where we had booked an Airbnb for 6 nights. We left after the 3rd night. On to the next one? No. Anyway, there's actually details in here. That was the old switcheroony on you. The host had the typical Southern hospitality personality, but something was off that first night. The door code used was a string of 7 numbers that she had memorized, but was nearly impossible for me to remember. I ended up locking us out upon arrival and unloading, and had to walk over to the host's home to request the code again. She welcomed us into our home and then began asking questions. However, she let it be known the questions were directed at my daughter, who was 8, and that I should remain silent. Weird, right? Kind of a strange old lady suddenly. That set off alarm bells. Also, upon arrival, the host had mentioned that we should close the curtains to the house, even though it's a safe place because we are 2 girls. Mind you, there were no other homes around as it was a huge private property. We walked back over to where we were staying and re-entered the premises. That first night, I kept hearing what sounded like a large bug with a hard shell continuously flying into the mini split in the bedroom. However, after 18 hours of travel, I was too tired to care. The second night was a different story. The bathroom attached to the room on the 2nd floor kept having a metallic tinkering noise while we were in bed. My daughter thankfully slept through it. However, I kept experiencing anxiety and feeling unsettled. I tried to tell myself I was just exhausted still and feeling anxious about traveling. During the 2 days we came and left, a fan I left on was turned off every time we arrived back. There was a small extendable mirror, the only mirror in the bathroom, that one could tilt up and down. The mirror kept being tilted down towards a child's level. I assumed it was my daughter until I tilted it back. The final day there, I went downstairs to where my daughter was coloring and came back upstairs. It was tilted again. Finally, the third night was the last straw. After feeling for those prior days that we were constantly being watched, my daughter went to take a shower and said to me, "I am closing the bathroom doors so the lightning bugs can't watch me." My daughter is very extroverted and attached to me. She never wants the bathroom door closed when showering. This let me know she too felt something, but didn't have words to explain it. We finally went to bed and she fell asleep fast. However, I once again couldn't sleep because of anxiety and began experiencing panic attacks, which I am not prone to. Then the noises began, only worse than the prior 2 nights. The metallic tinkering noise in the bathroom grew louder and faster. I tried to tell myself it was a mouse. However, I have slept in cabins with mice, and they leave droppings, make squeaks, and you can hear them scurry. None of that happened. Then I heard what sounded like someone tinkering with the items left on the bathroom counter, and it sounded like they dropped a glass. Next, I heard the closet door across from the bed open, but my suitcases were in the way, and I heard the door hit them. These noises went on for hours. Everything inside me told me to run, protect my daughter, and get out as soon as possible. The next morning I went into the bathroom and there were a child's muddy footprints coming out of the shower and onto a white towel laid in front of the shower. It was not there the night before. I tried to explain it away, but I couldn't. My daughter had not played in any mud any of those days, and even if she had, there would have been muddy footprints from the front door where we took our shoes off. I immediately began packing our bags to never return again. After 2 nights of not returning, the host messaged me and offered an additional night free on her. Obviously, I declined. Do I mention anything about it to the host? Do I leave a review? It took me several days to shake the feeling of this experience. It was so scary that I may never stay in an Airbnb again.
That's a bit dramatic.
I'll never do it again, damn it. That ghost will follow me forever.
Maybe it's not a ghost and it was a demon that does follow her.
That could happen because demons exist.
No, they don't. But
Wow.
Anyway,
Wow, starting off already.
ghost.
Okay. Gonna catch one of these songs. You keep that up, Christian.
I'm going to catch one of those songs either way.
That is true. I was really planning on unveiling them next week, though, so I'll see. If you push me to my limits, when you just never know. But yeah,
Don't push you because you're close to the edge.
exactly like that. Yeah, there's a reason that song was written.
Scott's trying not to lose his head.
Wow, that happened a while ago, Christian. I'm not sure if you noticed, but
Oh, I noticed.
oh, I noticed. Yeah, so kind of spooky. I mean, here's the thing, though. The host a little strange, right?
I mean, most hosts that live on the property are usually a little strange.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean, it's a strange thing to go on vacation and deal with the host. I haven't had to do that.
that'd be horrible. But just like directing all questions to the 8-year-old, like, no, I'm not asking you. I'm asking this child here. And then like talking about closing the curtains. And she just has like, there are stories of Airbnbs where there's like secret hidden cameras or people are like perving on the guests and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
but it's not as
maybe
often.
this old lady got some kinks you don't know about, you know?
Maybe. But also, sometimes old ladies just talk to kids.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I always talk to kids.
Yeah. But
I'm
you
not an
also,
old lady.
you kind of have like a parent's intuition though, right? Where you're like, and this parent felt, she was like, this is kind of strange what you're doing with my child.
Yeah, that would be kind of weird. But also, there's a couple of things in here that sound supernatural. But also, this lady sounds like she was too stressed out to be traveling alone with her daughter, in a way. Like some of the initial things she was worried about are like, well, maybe. I mean, seeing muddy footprints in the bathroom and not having an explanation, that would be kind of freaky. But I'd be also, it's a kid's ghost. How bad could it be?
Well, they got mud in the bathroom, Christian, so it's not great.
I mean, that sounds like typical kid stuff, but it's not like some ghost, hovering over you while you're sleeping in this Airbnb.
Weird that the mud prints would be coming out of the shower and not going into the shower, though.
I mean, maybe whatever ghost is there
Mud bath.
used to play in the mud a lot and would always leave mud prints.
Leaving the shower?
Maybe they didn't. Kids sometimes don't clean as well as you think they do. You'll learn
Well,
this.
I don't think anything about kids' cleanliness, but that's just weird.
When your son gets a little bit older and you're like, oh, I can trust you to take a bath on your own. You can't.
But I will. And he'll be disgusting, and that's fine.
I mean, he's a guy, so.
Anyway, anyone out there have any suggestions or thoughts on what this could be outside? Because there's the two options that are obvious to us, right? Ghosts, clearly, or a pervy host. Ghosts or pervy hosts?
I was going to go with a weird host more than pervy. I don't know why you automatically went to pervy. It's just weird.
Well, if you have a camera on someone, that's pretty pervy.
But this one, we're not talking about a camera. We're talking,
Okay.
You're talking about a camera, but this story didn't mention anything about
it. It didn't, but I'm being skeptical on this story. The tables have turned.
You're being paranoid on this story.
Yeah, well, I'm paranoid on a lot of stories, Christian,
I've noticed.
and that's fine. Speaking of stories, great segue. Let's get into this next one. It's called Sounds, Shadows, and Mimics. Oh my.
Mimics are fun.
And it's by Altruistic Flight 226. I recently just rented an Airbnb for the first time. It was a fairly remote 3-bedroom cabin. We stayed to watch the eclipse. Ooh. The first day we're there, we're all in the kitchen and it sounded like something fell in the front bedroom. It was pretty loud, so I went to check what it was and found nothing. The second night, my oldest daughter tells me when we first walked into the cabin, she saw a shadow run into the kitchen. The third day, my oldest daughter and her boyfriend are exploring the wooded area next to the cabin. I walk out onto the deck and call her name. I clear as day heard her close to me say, "Hello? We'll be right there." The way it was worded sounded weird as heck, so I said, "What are you guys doing? What are you smoking weed over here?" No, but possibly. I thought she was right around the corner of the house about 10 feet from me. As I am asking what she was doing, my husband came out on the porch and yelled her name. I am about to tell him that she's right around the corner of the house, but before I could say anything, I see her on the opposite side of the house, way up a steep hill. That creeped me out, but we had only one more night and I stuck it out. Thankfully, nothing else happened after that. I want to travel, but now I'm nervous of having random paranormal encounters in someone's house that I'm renting.
The stuff
Classic.
people worry about.
Classic stuff.
Like, could you imagine, like, I want to travel, but what if I see a ghost on my travels?
Could you imagine? Of course I could imagine, Christian. It sounds like
Like, why would you
something I
worry
would
about,
do.
like, the chances of that happening?
I did see a ghost on my travels. There was a ghost in our bedroom in Jamaica, dude. Guaranteed. Not guaranteed. It could have been faulty wiring, but guaranteed, you know?
No, I don't.
Oh, it was a motion sensor light in the closet that kept going on and off. And I went, there's no bugs in there. There's nothing going on. It happened when I was alone in the room a lot, and that freaked me out, Christian. And I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I don't know. Like, the previous story in this one, they're like way overly paranoid about potentially seeing something paranormal or experiencing something paranormal.
After experiencing things, see, that's the main thing, is that these people were just on vacation. And then they had random crazy shit happen that shouldn't happen to you when you're on vacation. And so they're just a little startled. And obviously they're like, well, shit, I don't know. What if does this happen again? Do I go to another Airbnb? And Casper's waiting outside waving at me? And
when I stayed at the Mangor Hotel and had my little experience there, I didn't be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't stay at a hotel again. It might be haunted.
But tell the people the truth. Have you stayed at a hotel since?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was hoping there was a 50-50 shot, and I was hoping you were going to say no, and then I would have had a gotcha. But it's fine.
A few of them.
Well, your boy lives on the edge, you know?
Including in another country, twice.
Okay, now you're just bragging, Christian.
I am.
Keep it to yourself. Such a Leo. Anyway, this next story is called Airbnb Needs a Haunted Clause, and it's by Sayanya Pasarina. Nailed it. I left the Airbnb at 1:45 a.m. this morning, July 31st was when this was written, disturbed by paranormal phenomena that hadn't been disclosed in the booking. As if they're just going to be like, welcome to our home. Also, there's a ghost. It's fine.
I don't know if that's necessarily something. I don't think that's in the terms and conditions.
Well, let's listen to this person's plea for perhaps why it should be. The occurrences included the fan light dimming and brightening on its own, sheets being pulled off me, the sensation of a weighty presence settling on the bed beside me, and the sheets being forcefully pressed across my face, all that stuff that keeps you up at night. I should have known something was off when I first checked in. The room looked fine, but there was an eerie silence, so quiet I didn't hear a single bird, even though this was a residential area. Still, I was on vacation, and at the time I was happy for the quiet. But the oppressive atmosphere and the strange phenomena kept me from falling asleep. Even the hypnagogic visuals were messed up. Unable to bear it any longer, I left. At 4:30 a.m., I messaged the host to let him know, dude, your place is haunted. Maybe Airbnb should consider adding a haunting clause. I didn't book a haunted room. I just wanted a place to sleep. Gotcha.
No,
Gotcha. You believe? You're a believer now.
I don't.
First
I
hand,
don't believe.
second hand, third hand, I guess.
I
is what I'm
believe
saying.
maybe people experience things, but all three of these stories, there's an
Let's hear it. Let's hear about
An-
people's brains. It's time. Bring out the brain talk.
what is it? An inordinate amount of fear. So, I'd like to know more about the people that are staying there. Do they have these kind of fears? Do they have beliefs? We're not catching the normal thing that
Unfortunately,
we hear.
I did not acquire a dossier on every single one of our authors, but
Well,
I
obviously,
like where your head's at. I like the dedication.
yeah,
you know?
some of the people that we read stories from were like, well, I don't even believe this stuff, but this happened to me. That's not the case with this. All of them seem extremely stressed out. Like it was eerily silent. As a good Airbnb should be when you walk in.
I don't know if that's stress or just observation, but I'll allow it.
So, they can experience things. I understand it, but also if you're paranoid, maybe stay at home.
Maybe do that. Give that a shot, huh?
Unless you think that traveling is going to help you that, which these people don't sound like, I'll never travel again because I had
Can't
this
ever
experience.
leave the house. What the fuck? Yeah, there's a flair for the dramatic there, Christian. I'll give you that. But
I feel like the U.S. government should pick up on this, and if they want to keep people at home and out of trouble and from rebelling or whatever mischievous citizens get to doing, maybe they should just make everything seem haunted to people so they all stay home.
that's the next pandemic. That's it right there, right?
I mean, I
Ghosts.
thought video
hey guys,
games-
don't leave the house. There's ghosts out there. Holy shit.
Yeah. No, it won't just be ghosts. It'll be demons and
Hell yeah.
all
Hell
this.
yeah, brother.
The aliens are demons.
Hell yeah, man. All the sound bites, all the fun ones. I don't have enough of those. Let's get in this next one. And it's called The Cotton Candy Blob. And it's by Onomatopoeia Utopia. My mom and I stayed in an Airbnb in Denver earlier this year, and we experienced some pretty unsettling activity. I saw a shadow blot out the light coming under my bedroom door. It was large enough to start at one side, go across, and completely darken the light, then move the rest of the way across. And then something fell in the closet next to the bed. But the door was open to it, and nothing was ever found that could have fallen, and I heard it bounce. My mom, in a room just down the hall, also saw the shadow the same night I did. And then the next night, something pulled the covers off her completely in one move. Man, some of these ghosts hella pervy, you know?
Maybe they
They're just trying to catch a peek. They're like, what's going on under these covers, girl, huh?
if you're a ghost and someone's sleeping, sometimes they're
Obviously, you're going to want to see what they have under the covers.
No, that's maybe
Christian, stop being a pervert.
You're
This is
putting your own perversions in
spooky
these
ghost
ghosts.
show.
I'm not the one here
I
trying
don't-
to.
How many times do I have to tell you this?
You're mansplaining why a ghost would pull the sheet off somebody. Maybe it's just because it wants to
Are
startle
you
them.
telling me? Okay. No, that's fine. Anyway. Excuse me, that was wildly unprofessional.
The giggling will start soon.
I don't know if today it might just even me out. I've been very depressed today. Not a fun day. Let's see. So something pulled the covers off her completely in one move. She sat up and turned on the lamp, only to see the doorknob turning by itself. She had locked her room. Why? Why are you locking your room? That's a weird move.
Some people just do that.
That's a weird move. You have a child and you're in a stranger's house and you're locking, and it's just you and your.
Maybe that's
mom?
why the child's locking it, because they don't feel comfortable.
No, the mom locked her room. I'm focusing on weird details again. Sorry, Teresa. Anyway,
Freaking mommy.
she
dearest.
sat up and turned on the lamp, only to see the doorknob turning by itself. She had locked the room, which is what I got stuck on. As she watched that, something unseen hit her hard in the back, pushing her into the middle of the bed. She freaked out and turned to see this weird mist blob thing, several feet high, colored pink, and the texture of cotton candy. Sounds nuts, but this is what she said. That happened the second night. I told her that next day what had happened both nights to me, and she then told me what had happened to her both nights. We then freaked out on each other for not telling either person. We left that day and stayed in a motel. The remaining couple of days in Denver, I had to go back by myself to take out trash and make sure we got everything. That was incredibly unnerving. Nothing in the literature about this place said the house was haunted. I don't know why people keep expecting that to be in the literature. Go out and enjoy the deck. And oh, by the way, did we tell you it's haunted? Yeah, demons in the back room. It's fine.
Well, it's like back in the days before they had to list if there was like a murder or something in a house. And I don't even think that's all over the country, but in some places you have to mention that kind of thing when you sell a house.
That's not nationwide. It's on your side.
We're in the United States. There's nothing nationwide. There's always one state like, hell no, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
So,
the state's usually Minnesota. Sorry, Minnesota.
Minnesota, eh?
Sorry. Yeah, practically Canada. Get out of here. Just kidding. We love you.
What you talking
about? Minnesotans.
They have hockey.
They do. Yeah. And that's automatically an A+ in our book. Man, this episode, I feel like it's gotten off the rails. I feel like it was a rocky start to begin with. Sorry, folks.
I think you're way over worried about it. But either way. Okay. So let me surprise you a little bit and pretend like I'm going to believe that all this stuff happened.
Okay.
And this story is a good example of the fact that how we interpret things is based on our experiences.
Okay.
Like in this case, maybe this person saw whatever paranormal thing was going on, but they didn't put their like human filter where they see like the figure of a person or a child.
Okay.
They just see this
cotton candy blob.
Yeah, which maybe is what this stuff looks like.
It's making me hungry, to be honest.
It's too much sugar, but
it is.
Maybe this is what this stuff looks like.
Okay.
When you don't have your expectations clouding your,
It's just an ethereal form.
Yep.
I belong to the energy around you.
Yeah, and what you see is based on what you perceive.
There it is. Indeed.
Or want to see.
Oh, even better.
Because most people want to experience a haunting, I think. So maybe they don't want to suffer through the fear, but they definitely want to tell their friends about it or
why? So they can be ridiculed forever? Dude, are you my teenage years were rough because I'd tell all my friends all the crazy, creepy shit I'd see, and they'd be like, wow, what a strange dream that was, Scott. Anyway.
But they were probably experiencing some of the same things. You know how kids are. They're like, I'm not scared.
No, they weren't. I mean, we had Ethan in studio. That was my best friend growing up. I still joke around with him. But like, yeah, remember, you didn't believe shit, man. You don't believe jack shit. You're like, wow, that's creepy. Until it was time to stay at Scott's house, right? When you heard about all the ghost stories. Spend the night with me, man. And then he's on the floor like, oh, fuck, this is the house, you know?
True.
And it was the house. I was there. On to this next story.
How many stories do you have? Because I have to pee.
Are you serious? We're 35 minutes in, Christian.
I know.
Okay, you can go right now.
Okay.
And while you're gone, I'll tease one of the songs for our listeners.
Then I don't get to hear it.
Guys, if you don't want to hear another song, go ahead and skip it.
Wow, he did it again. How does he do it? Scott is the man. He is right. It rings true. Scott's always right. What can you do? He has a full head of hair. Who can deny? Yes, you may think he's wrong. I'm telling you, he's right.
Slaps.
Scott's the man.
Hell yeah.
Worth an unbiased song.
Hell yeah.
If you think Scott's right, please sing along. Scott is right. Scott's the man. Scott has hair, and it is grand. Scott is right.
Slapper. So good.
Scott's the man.
Sorry, Christian takes forever to pee. It's a long hallway he has to go down.
Scott is right.
I am wrong.
Scott's the man. Scott has hair, and it is grand.
So grand.
Scott is right. Scott's the man.
Hey, what's up? It's still me. Christian's still going to the bathroom, so I'm just going to cut to whenever he gets back. Hey, it's right now. Oh, no, Christian's back. Stop the music. Everyone, stop partying. Wow, it's very unprofessional, Christian. And I realized I said I had to stop and go blow my nose like 2 minutes in. But...
Oh, yeah, I see how it is.
Wow. Anyway, if I can get back to this other story, This will be an interesting episode to see if we lose people. It feels like calm, which is almost weird. Like it doesn't have, you know what I mean? That energy for a nighttime. I don't know, guys. You tell me in the comments what's weird about this episode. And it wasn't the song you just listened to. That was fantastic. And you know it. And if you don't know it, you need to replay it so you can agree with it.
You know what I don't understand?
Yes.
Why do all your songs make fun of me? Why don't you just talk about like ghost and shit?
That's the hilarious part is it starts talking about that stuff and then it suddenly shifts to you and Beans. And that's where the comedy is, Christian. That's what makes it funny. If I would just talk, I will do some. There's some. Look, when I told you that Halloween and Christmas are going to be like rocking because I can now write cryptid themed Christmas songs, I'm telling you, it's not going to be all Beans, but there's going to be a sprinkle of Beans in there. I'm working on a song for Christmas called Beans Under the Tree. And let me tell you, it's fantastic. You're going to want to wait and listen to that when you get a chance. And for now, you're going to listen to this story, which we should have got into 10 minutes ago, called Shadows on the Stairs. And it's by Love Her Madly, 13. My sister and I stayed at an Airbnb in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh, my family's from Harrisburg. My mom was born there.
God, Christian, not everything is about you, dude.
It's just kind of cool because I've heard a lot about that area.
I was just kidding. I was being
a jerk.
No, it's called dramatic for the ratings. But the buildings there are really old with lots of history. The minute I walked into the residence, the air just felt heavy. Been there, sister. I didn't mention anything to my sister because I didn't want to scare her. When we were getting ready for bed, she asked me if I felt uneasy there. That's when I knew we both could feel the negative energy. It was suffocating. We ended up sleeping in the same room with the lights on. Hey, have I got a show for you? It was a 3-story residence, and directly outside of the 2nd-story room we slept in was a staircase that led up to the 3rd story. We could hear shadows moving back and forth from the top of the stairs, and the staircase kept creaking as if someone or something was walking down it.
Have you ever heard a shadow?
Yeah.
I've seen a shadow. I've never heard one. Shadows don't make noises.
Well, it says we could see shadows moving back and forth from the top.
You said heard. Or wait, yeah, see. Never mind.
Wow, Christian.
Moving along.
My God. And the staircase kept creaking as if someone or something was walking down it. There were tons of weird noises coming from all over the home, and we could hear people whispering. It was almost overwhelming, as it would be. It felt like someone was watching us. We lasted one night there, then left. The host refunded me for the remaining days we were supposed to stay and didn't charge me a cleaning fee. I only paid for the one night we actually stayed there. And actually, that's why I don't believe the story. You know they charge you a cleaning fee, and you know they didn't refund you no days. You're taking up their occupants. Get out of here. It's a fake story, people. Wow.
I am wrong.
Anyway, what are your thoughts on that, Christian?
Well, I struggled with the hearing shadows part.
That's because you heard the wrong thing, ironically.
I mean, that does happen. I mean,
if I'm editing and I said heard, I'll leave it in there because, hey, I'm an idiot sometimes too, Christian. Turns out it happens.
But
we are all God's children.
Wow.
Anyway.
Hopefully the housekeeping lady doesn't hear that one.
No, she probably won't. She's out cleaning houses, obviously, now. Anyway, back to your thoughts.
It's strange.
A great addition. I agree.
How many people get all stressed out over sounds? Like that one, it was more outside. I could understand things dropping inside or thinking they drop. Like I just had that happen to me a couple nights ago where like I'm sound asleep and I hear this loud bang from inside where I live.
And turns out it was a demon.
No, it wasn't a demon. Well, it could have been. I went back to sleep because I was like, I listened for a second, woke up the next morning and in the closet, all the clothes on the bar
were like not anymore.
No, they were on the ground.
Yeah. See, the demon bumped his head.
It was too heavy or something.
Yeah, demon was hanging out in there and he was crunched over and he stood up and bumped his head.
Maybe the demon came out of the crawl space that's in the closet.
Even creepier thought.
And hit its head on the pole and knocked it down and woke me up from a dead sleep.
Yeah, hit its head on Poland. Why not? This next one is called, and it's a little short one, your favorite. It's called Juicy Hot Laundry Room Goss. Says, I stayed in an Airbnb in Seminole, Oklahoma for a month. What a strange choice.
I mean, I thought an Airbnb in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania was a strange choice, but I haven't been there, so maybe there's cool shit there.
Hey, look at Airbnb, thriving where it shouldn't be thriving.
Yeah.
People have family. I guess you could visit and not want to hang out with them all the time.
I could see that.
I could see that. Yeah. It was creepy as heck. I could see that too. I would hear conversations from the laundry room when I was in the kitchen. I wasn't scared. Curious. Here, let me fix that for you. You were nosy. You're nosy as hell. Those weren't your conversations, lady.
Calm down, Karen.
Anyway, it's very ancient Native American land, and I have respect for the energy. Weird way to end that, but sure. You know, whatever you want to respect or whatever. That's cool.
There wasn't much to that story
It was literally just while you're in the kitchen, you hear a conversation taking place in the laundry room.
Yeah.
Which interestingly enough, when my son wakes up during his naps and I go like lay down to help him get back to sleep, I'll just pass out there. There's multiple times where I can hear people talking, quote unquote, talking through the lullaby that's playing, because there's a certain amount of white noise and it's very subtle, but mixed in there. And my brain will legitimately hear, it'll turn it into like words and talking.
Are they like words that mean anything to you? Like, are they things you're thinking about?
It's similar to this where I can't understand what they're saying, but I know it's a fucking conversation. And I'm like, damn, that's so weird. I'm always on like the cusp of sleep. So it's like the perfect trifecta of weirdness for it just to, my head is like, what is it? People talking in that lullaby? What's that coming from?
That makes sense. That one makes a little bit of sense because you're going to hear things then, but.
Yeah, especially in white noise. So I don't know, maybe it could be a situation. Maybe there was some kind of like ambient noise that.
Well, sometimes the acoustics in houses or, you know, we've talked about the infrasound that can be produced by poorly made houses. So who knows? I mean, an old house, everything since Poltergeist and probably before then is Native American ground. But
God, look at them just taking everything.
I mean, the Native Americans back in the day didn't seem like they were all about hauntings.
Hey, people on YouTube, that was a joke also, but it's fine. Weird.
So people are grasping sometimes for something.
That has been your exact explanation for every single one of these stories. You're like, it just seems weird that there's so many people that that are just so paranoid out there. I'm like, wow, Christian, have you ever been more wrong?
I am wrong. No, man. There are a lot of people paranoid about things that they can't control.
I will give you that. There's one or two. I've never met anyone quite like that, but I'll take your word for it. This next one is called Big Get Out Energy.
All right. This sounds interesting.
Not the movie.
Oh.
Just what ghosts always say to people, you know?
That's what Eddie Murphy said on his stand-up routine.
Exactly. And
get out.
Every other ghost, he was being very accurate.
And then he's like, sorry, babe, we got to go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Anyway, it says, I just stayed at an Airbnb in London, and I'm convinced it was haunted by something that simply did not like us.
This makes more sense because we're in London, an ancient place.
Wow, all people in London apparently don't like people. That's fine. The owners have been renting the property out since 2016 and even have another review mentioning the place is haunted from a few years ago. First night, the shower suddenly stops working and starts leaking water through the ceiling downstairs.
That's called bad plumbing.
Next night, I accidentally left a built-in cabinet door open in the room and had the worst, most vivid nightmares of my life. I woke up screaming. Oof.
That's why you got to keep that shit closed. Everybody knows that's where the monsters.
Everyone knows that. Weird that I accidentally left a built-in cabinet door open. That's what caused it. You know, like of all the things, that's the last thing I'd ever think caused vivid nightmares. But maybe the demon is in the cabinets, you know, who knows. Made sure those were closed the rest of the time and no more nightmares. Second and final shower broke in the same exact way as the first one on our last day. Windows would randomly slam shut and slowly open themselves again, even with no wind. Many of our things would wind up in random places when we vividly remember putting them in a specific spot. One night I looked out the window while hanging clothes to dry before bed and saw a vaguely human-like figure across the street staring up. Moved a shirt in front of my face for half a second and it was gone when I looked back. We need a warning for this kind of stuff. Weird. And spooky, turns out. Very spooky.
Some people are really offended that there's not a warning.
Yeah. Well, that happens, it seems, you know?
Well, at least in London, there's enough history going back far enough that there could potentially be a ghost, if ghosts exist.
You think just the one rogue ghost that just might exist out there. He's out there. He may possibly be in London. That one single ghost that could exist. Not all of them all over the place all the time. Just the one.
I just don't understand like an actual ghost. Like the stone tape thing makes more sense.
But wouldn't that still be a ghost?
No, it'd be just like a recording.
So zero sentience, just random
Like
imagery.
100 years from now, when someone finds a recording of our podcast, that's not us. That's just a recording of us.
Do we live on in the hearts, Christian, if people see that recording?
If we do a good enough job, we might live on in the hearts
Wow.
and affect somebody in a positive way.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're great at sparking controversy, apparently. You especially, it turns out. God, I don't know how you do it, man. I have said the worst things on this podcast as a joke, just to see if people will like lose their minds. Nobody does. But then you say some random thing that is actually not even insulting somehow, and people take it the wrong way and then comment, and you're like, bruh, do you even the freaky deaky? Apparently you don't.
No.
It's fine.
Some of this stuff doesn't make sense.
Well, a lot of it doesn't make sense, but that's why we're here, to clear those muddy waters. Just kidding. We don't do that at all. But this next story is called The Old Schoolhouse. And it's by Tatted 13 Dova Queen. It says, I stayed at an Airbnb in Minden, Ontario, Canada. Hey, Christina. How's my best friend doing? It was an old schoolhouse next to a church.
Do you know where Ontario is?
Yeah, I do know where Ontario is. It's in Canada, Christian. I just read that moments ago.
We're talking about Christina.
Yeah.
Our fan, right?
Yeah, whenever Canada is mentioned, I say hello.
But I don't think she lives in Ontario.
She doesn't have to. It's wherever. She could be in Newfoundland, Christian. It honestly doesn't matter.
Well, at least it's not Nova Scotia.
There you go. Hey, look at us knowing Canada a little bit. The teensiest bit we could know, hey, we know it. And again, hello, Christina, if I may continue. It was an old schoolhouse next to a church. Never a good idea. The place was actually quite lovely. Newly updated and renovated, but that didn't get rid of the evil, oppressive feelings that took over once we settled in. I can only imagine what kind of abuse might have taken place in that little school building.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Not again. Here we go. I just imagined it the whole time, which sat across the street from a Freemason's lodge.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
They're not even connected.
Oh my God. Wow. And right beside a 100-plus-year-old Catholic church. Given the number of reserves around, I can only assume it might have been a residential school.
Reserves?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Maybe Army reserves? No, unless they're trying to say reservations or something.
No,
that doesn't make any sense at all, right?
I mean, maybe it's just a way of speaking that's done in that part of Canada that I'm not familiar with. Yeah.
Christina, chime in. We need you. We need you now more than ever. Anyway, my boyfriend and I were too scared to be intimate. Wow. Here we go. That's way to go, Ghost. Look at you.
Ruining a romantic getaway.
Wow.
To Ontario.
Hey, isn't that where we all desire to go? And neither of us slept because even though the door was locked, we both felt an overwhelming anxiety that someone or something was going to break in and murder us. The lights kept turning on and off, the bed would move, blankets rustled while we lay awake, and there was random pressure at the end of the bed. It was too much to enjoy our time away. At one point, the thermostat shot up to 30 degrees. We both woke up sweating buckets and had to turn it back down. That's classic. That is classic Canada, shooting up to 30 degrees and sweating. Get at it. I'm just kidding.
It's Celsius.
I know. That was the joke. Christian, that was the joke.
You know what was the joke? Was the connection of the kids' school, the Freemasons, and the Catholic Church.
Hey, the power of threes. Christian, you never know. You never know with symbolism.
I know in this case they're reaching a little bit.
Well, I think most cases in this episode have been a little bit of a reach, but that was not the episode. The episode is Haunted Airbnbs.
I find it interesting that, and it's happened in multiple stories, but the fact that these people feel like the pressure on the bed and the pulling of the sheets.
Do you ever feel that? Not the pulling of the sheets so much.
Felt like things sat on my bed, but
you ever look?
Yeah, because
there was a bit of hesitation there. Christian, do you look?
You'd have to look, because what if it's somebody sitting on your bed?
I'm like, I expect him to wake up anyway. I'll just ask him tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, and I've never found anything. A lot of times it's at that stage of sleep where you're, like you were saying earlier, where you're almost starting, almost dreamlike qualities. So you can't really tell if it's an actual experience or you're starting to slip into dreamland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Could be the case. I mean, pulling sheets off is pretty hard.
Pretty hardcore.
To mistake. for something else.
Yeah, can't be like, oopsie, I accidentally kicked that with my entire force, everything I've got inside me. I launched that sheet onto the ground.
But as far as feeling something on your bed, I think that could happen without something actually putting pressure on your bed. It's just with the way you relax and as you're slipping off. But pulling the sheets is a little weird and not something I can explain away easily. So I kind of leave that kind of stuff alone. Things falling, hearing those type of things. We all hear weird sounds at night.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes they're just normal sounds.
And sometimes they're very weird sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really do be like that.
Especially if you live in an apartment building and the neighbors are up late.
I hear you, Christian. I really do. This next one is called Cleansings and Energy Work. Ooh, and it's by CM Pumpkin.
Also, as you mentioned that title, people that own an Airbnb may need to someone needs to start a business in certain areas where they just go into an Airbnb, $20 and cleanse the place.
$20, man. Come on, value yourself.
If you
$200.
If it
Do you want
takes-
ghosts in here or not?
If it takes you 2 minutes to cleanse the place, okay, maybe $100.
And if it was $20, you would clean up 50 clients during a summer or something like that.
I would just walk in with one of those things that we had in my church with the incense and just put sage in there.
Exactly.
Domine, whatever.
You'd have to chant. Very disrespectful, Christian. How dare you, Domine, whatever. This isn't Harry Potter, man.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
Sorry.
Anyway, if I can get to this story, it says we had an odd experience at an Airbnb in London, Ontario. What? Wow.
Weren't we just in Ontario?
We were just there. We never left.
I've actually been to Ontario.
Yeah, and you
Canada.
love it. It's a great place.
Not that Ontario that I grew up next to in California. I've been to Ontario, Canada.
Weird they would choose the one that was a lot further away.
And I went to a cemetery there.
Wow.
It
Look at you.
it was some old, it was a weird cemetery
because
it was really old.
foreshadowing this podcast. Wow. Isn't that something? The moment my husband and I walked into the house, a first floor apartment, the energy felt completely off. I occasionally pick up on strange vibes, but it's rare.
Of course.
Wow. Christian, do you know how many of our audience picks up on strange vibes, myself included?
I pick up on strange vibes sometimes, but it's from people.
Sure. Or is it from ghosts? All
I mean,
that
there
and more
might be
at 11.
there might be a ghost standing around I don't see.
Yeah. So she occasionally picks up on strange vibes. So getting hit by this right away was unusual. My husband noticed it too. A few minutes after we arrived, our 8-month-old twins became very agitated.
That just sounds like a scary story. You don't take twins to
You don't take twins
hotel,
anywhere. You leave them in your house.
Airbnbs. Yeah,
They stay in the house forever
just like they haven't even watched The Shining.
until they're 12 years old and become my best friends, and then kind of also freak me out with twin stuff. But it's fine. Anyway, we tried to ignore the feeling and get the babies to bed, but they weren't having it and cried for nearly an hour. That's child's play. Anyway, we all ended up on the pull-out couch, babies between us, sleeping fully clothed. We played some religious scripture overnight. Wow, Christian, God, have some fucking respect, you weirdo.
It's
God, just the snort. Like you were just so blown away that people might try to do some healing on their soul or whatever. Who fucking
I don't
knows?
mean to laugh at that, but it is just like, I can't imagine being like, I'm staying here, I'm scared. Let me play this religious scripture. I mean, because that's not me, obviously, but it just sounds kind of funny when I don't mean to demean
That's fine,
somebody.
Christian. YouTubers are standing by, okay? They are ready to rip into you so bad.
That's all right.
It's all good. Just know, in my heart of hearts, I know that
I am wrong.
there it is. If I can get back to them playing religious scripture. But I've never experienced anything like that before. It just felt like we shouldn't be there. We were out the door by 6:30 a.m. Later, I looked into the place and found out they do energy work in that unit. Cleansings, treatments, and then they rent it out. I figured maybe something lingered from a cleansing. I emailed the owner to tell them about the energy and suggested they make sure their energy work is thoroughly dissipated or cleansed before new Airbnb guests arrive. I never got a reply.
Okay.
This person is doing witchcraft in that place.
Okay.
And they brought demons.
What's funny about, I contacted the people and about their energy. First off, okay,
If someone sends you that message, so you're like, what the fuck? But I mean, if these people really do, and then they believe that stuff. So.
Well, it was funny because they're playing religious scripture to get them through the night.
I don't know any other kind of scripture.
And then they find out about the energy work. I'm like, oh, they're offended because they're Christians.
Yeah, it didn't say what religious scripture.
And then, Christians sometimes, especially evangelical Christians, think everything's the devil or demons. But then she's like, or they're like, they should do the energy work this way so that it doesn't leave behind anything. I just realized you got Bigfoot socks on.
Thank you for noticing.
Anyway, but all of a sudden this person was like, you got to do the energy work right. I'm like, I'm very confused by this person, and maybe they need to pick one type of religion or belief to be an expert in, because you can't have religious scriptures and then be an expert on energy work in my world.
You don't need to be an expert on energy work if you have religious beliefs that think that those are like evil or whatever.
So I find a lot of religion to be energy work anyway. So whatever, man.
Yeah, well,
it's just my energy work is sanctified by the power above, geez. And the other energy work is too. But it was just a weird. Sometimes we come across weird ways of explaining the stories that set my mind off and like
in very strange directions. It turns out.
Now I'm fascinated by this person. I want to talk to him.
Mm-hmm. I bet you do, Christian. I bet you do. But just know, at the end of the day,
I am wrong, and the demons got him because they followed him home.
Okay. Alrighty, then. This next story, and this final story for the episode, I feel, is called Scratching and Burning. And it's by Overlime. Why not?
I mean...
Or Overly...
I liked Overlime better.
Anyway, it says, I had an extended stay in one Airbnb for a stint. A few times while I was sleeping, I thought I felt someone on my back. I often sleep on my chest. On a few occasions, I heard god-awful, unnatural noises, but twice I felt my back being scratched by nails. I initially wrote off the noises as part of a dream and thought maybe my girlfriend had accidentally rolled onto me while we were sleeping, even though she's not a cuddler at all.
You weren't getting that lucky, man.
Like, oh, what's this? Okay.
It
hurts, but all right, here we go.
It's a succubus, total succubus.
Possibly. That's a great observation, perhaps. I didn't think of that. But the scratches were impossible to ignore. It felt like someone had raked my back so hard that I went from dead asleep to wide awake in pain. I knew it wasn't my girlfriend. She was completely facing the other way. I had my own blanket. There were no marks on my body, and the pain only lasted 5 minutes.
And he used his safe word, and it still kept scratching.
That's true. He was like, Clementines. Clementines. Yeah, anyway, still I woke her up because I wanted to be sure. Hey, I know this probably wasn't you, but I have to ask, did you scratch my back just now? And normally my girlfriend is a grumpy light sleeper who talks in her sleep and likes her own space in bed. She would never scratch me, consciously or otherwise. Usually she'd be pissed that I woke her up to ask such a thing, but I think my serious tone got her attention. She said, no, of course not. I always sleep on my right. I asked if she could check my back, and she didn't even complain. By then, the pain was hardly noticeable, but the burning I felt should have left a mark. Again, nothing. She told me to try to sleep and to let her know if it happened again. It didn't, and I still can't explain it. The other odd things that happened were subtle and easy to overlook, so I pretty much did. The second time the scratching and burning happened, I was laying on my side, and I felt it on my ribs. The funny thing was, I was alone. Again, I was fully asleep, woke up with a start, and felt a burning pain. This time, I immediately went to the bathroom to check in the mirror, and again, nothing. No marks, no indication of any kind of other than the pain. I didn't even have a girlfriend there to blame it on. I could never figure it out, and I've never experienced anything like it since. Creepy. 10 out of 10.
Succubus got rid of the girlfriend eventually. There was another earlier story in the episode where there was something basically sitting, like the pressure on somebody's body. And I'm like, that always feels like an incubus or a succubus to me.
Oh, when it happens to you?
Well, it doesn't happen to me, except for that one time that something touched my butt. But
hey, we remember it very vividly, Christian.
That was consensual, so it was okay.
It lives on in the soundboard forever, as it should.
First off, if you feel something, even though you're going to sleep and something scratches you and you don't see marks, you might want to go to the doctor and just have some things checked out. Maybe there's something going on in your body.
Yeah, pinched nerves and stuff like that can be very...
maybe it's not even, maybe it's something worse. Maybe there's something going on.
Maybe there's a demon inside his body.
I was going to say something medical, but...
Yeah, maybe there's a medical
There was a demon on top
body.
of his body scratching him.
Oh, yeah. That's weird.
Right in front of his girlfriend.
The nerve. You don't see that too often these days.
Why'd you break up with your boyfriend? Oh, he had a succubus that he hung out with whenever he slept with me.
It was a succubus. Could you blame the man?
I mean...
Assuming they don't show their true form, I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's a great time. That's not what we're here for. We're here to listen to what our audience has to say. What do you guys think, huh? The thing with all of these stories that I noticed is that these are actually a group of stories that could go either way. There is a perfectly rational explanation to just about every one of these, except, I mean, there's a couple that had some, M. Night Shyamalan twists, but it's more of like a thought experiment. We're like, okay, let's see, this is the app. Okay, it was my brain. It's very rational. And then the opposite of that, nothing over the top terrifying, but still creepy to think about.
What if over time, what if they're experiencing these things differently or more intensely because they're in an unfamiliar place that they don't feel quite at home or quite safe?
Just hyper aware.
Yes. And then when you're at your normal home, like all of our listeners will be at some point today.
You might be getting ready for bed right now.
But you've kind of tuned out all the ghosts and demons that live with you. They're still there. But you've tuned them out. It's like the reason, like when you have kids and they call your name constantly to finally you tune them out and they have to call you by your first name.
Yeah.
To get your attention. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe they're always there. You just learn how to live with them.
Maybe it is something like that.
That's how the world should be. We should learn to live with our demons and ghosts and sing Kumbaya every once in a while. Maybe throw some holy water on them or have some sage.
Like a Kumbaya thing at that point. But
I mean, if they're annoying, you can't have these things annoying you all the time or scratching you unless you've asked for that. That's your thing. I'm not judging. I'm not kink shaming.
Okay.
Some people
Weird
just
way
like
to end the episode.
Yeah, some people just like a succubus in their life.
Some people just need that.
Yeah, life is lonely sometimes.
And life is also a highway sometimes.
Oh, that's a horrible song.
That's speaking of horrible songs, this isn't one. We're going to close it out. But before we get out of here, if you guys are new to the show and you enjoy this show, please consider leaving a review. It really does help us get past those pesky algorithms.
Those 5-star reviews really help. They get
really
us seen by a lot of other people that wouldn't maybe see us.
You guys don't see the statistics, but there's an interesting correlation between receiving reviews and actually getting sent out more by the overlords that host the podcast. It's not us.
And I wanted to thank everybody that's like engaging on like YouTube and stuff, trying to tickle that algorithm, as Scott would say. It does help.
Get in there. Tickle that bad boy.
You can jump all over my case for something I said about housekeeping a few weeks ago. That's fine.
Yeah, why not? At this point, probably 2 months ago. But why not? Get in there. And also, if you're in the Facebook group, I want you to suggest genres for these TFD outros. These episode outros right here. They're going to be interesting. And it's a fun little thing that I get to do.
Can I do some lyrics for some of these?
Yeah, write a song, Christian, and by all means, I'll send it through and I'll send it back to you as slow jazz in the style of Kenny G. Anyway, speaking of dark jazz, we're gonna close this out on probably one of my favorites of the outro songs so far. So thanks for hanging out, guys. Follow us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod, and send in your personal paranormal experiences to the gang at thefreakydeaky.com, where you can end up in one of our listener story episodes or videos on YouTube. It's a treat. And I know I have a lot of emails to get back to, and to people that I haven't responded to yet, I apologize. I'm working on it, and by the time this comes out, maybe I did.
I feel really bad sometimes that I can't access our email on my laptop.
Wow. Excuses.
Made it up. You made it up.
So, oh my God, that's good. That's good. That's just a.
Was that the song?
That's a sneak preview, dude. Anyway,
felt like I was hanging out with my grandparents there.
So we're gonna hit the old dusty trail here. I'm gonna leave you with one of these new outros, and we'll see you right back here next week, where we are getting into Funeral homes, morticians, and morgues.
Morticia.
Yeah, Morticia and morgues. The best. Anyway,
She's hot.
we'll see you guys later. Enjoy.
I like it so far.
Bigfoot is stalking by your window. Dogman is scratching at your door. Ghosties are walking up and down your halls at night. And the Hat Man is coming back for more. Your name is Christian. You love a can of beans. And you're the wettest blanket skeptic this world has ever seen. You're almost always wrong. It's quiet and impressive, streaky. This song is rambled on too long. Welcome to the freaky deaky. Your name is Christian. Your name ironically, because the only belief you have can be found in a can of beans.
I'm telling you, these slap, man. They fucking slap.
You almost have to put a music video together now.
You're almost never right, and now you get roasted weekly. This song is rambled on too long. Welcome to the freaky deaky. Also, ghosts exist, just an FYI. Aliens are feeling blue. The Ouija demon's lonely because they believe in you. They believe in you. They believe in you. In you.
What kind of music is this?
Dark jazz. You can hear it right there. It's bluesy, but it's dark jazz.
See, I can deal with blues. That's not what I consider jazz.
Yeah, I know. You when you get brass in there and you know, trumpets and Kenny G.
In you.
Yeah, shit slaps.
That one was a little bit more southern.
Mm-hmm. It had a fun kind of like knee slap type element to it. I enjoyed it a lot. And hopefully you enjoyed it. And suggest songs in the Facebook group. And I'll start. Teresa, don't worry. Country is already done. All right, it took some tweaking, but it's done. Anyway, we'll see you guys
Country,
next week.
we have country.
Yeah.
It better be a little bit more old school country instead of the newer shit.
It's weird. Okay, chill out. It's going to be all right. We'll see you guys. I know I should have. I had him record certain things, or I was talking to him and I was just recording. I should say. I wasn't like, all right, sit here and say these words, son. Yeah, that caught me off guard because I was changing his diaper and I was wearing actually that same hoodie you're wearing right now. I was wearing that. And he was like, that's a freaky deaky. I'm like, what? I was like, can you read, dude? That's so weird. How did I not know that? But no, apparently. And then he mentioned the sticker on the back of your car. He's like, Grandpa has a freaky deaky. I'm like, well, that's good.
Like every time we walk out of somewhere, he looks for the car. And when we find, he's like, freaky deaky. And then he just starts busting up.
Yeah, he is. He is my son. So that happens, you know?
He's so freaking smart.
Yeah, well, he gets that from me, too. It turns out. No.
Like, he really catches me off guard sometimes.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, he bumped his head the other day. And, you know, he was crying. And I gave him, like, I forget what it was, like, I gave him one of my chips. And then after he finished the chip, he was like, and, like, started feeling the back of his head where he bumped himself. He was like, sad. And I'm like, oh, that's too bad. And he's like, need another chip. And I'm like, wow, dude. The manipulation already.
Yeah.
Classic stuff, really. But
it was funny, too. At his physical therapy, when the other lady that walked in and was talking about him, I'm like, you guys talk about him when I'm not here?
Yeah. Like, what are you, some kind of perverts? No.
Well, because the lady that always worked with him she always talks about how smart he is, and they make jokes about it with some of the other people. But this lady, I'm like, this was like,
we don't know you.
Is like, is this the one? Is kind of how she said it.
Yes, he is Neo. Get us out of this matrix.